He's the former CEO of Kellogg's, where he managed Kellogg Mexico when inflation was raging. And Carlos, it's great to see you this morning. We think inflation's bad at 7%, but you were doing it in Mexico when inflation was anything from 60 to 100%. I can't even imagine running a business under that environment. What did you do?
Yeah, we had hyperinflation. There is a playbook for inflation. Obviously, the intensity of the tactics are a lot different when you have 60% versus 7 or 8, but they're pretty much the same. And the first principle, I believe, is protect margins. And very often the debate is, do we increase prices? If inflation's 6, can we get away with a 2% price increase? If your goal is protect margins at all costs, then you will take a price increase as close to inflation or higher as you can. Very difficult to get back your margins when you're under inflation. You'll get back the volume, you'll get back the business, you may have some short-term impact on sales, but number one priority is to protect those margins. And my concern is that, with this statement of temporary inflation, there's almost a lull of complacency, and that worries me. I think that term has done some damage because what it tells some business people is we're going to be okay. Don't worry about it. It's just temporary. But it's not as if though inflation goes to 7, then it goes back down to 0 or, -7. Inflation's here, and managers have to deal with it right now.
I think a lot of CEOs weren't lulled by that whole transitory inflation thing. You know that there are a lot of companies that are raising prices. They've announced price hikes already. We know that there will be more that will be rolling in the next several months. And so many of these companies, from Procter & Gamble on, have made the point that they're able to get this pricing power, that consumers are still buying, and they're willing to pay up at this point. Is there a point, you think, where consumers will not continue to do that? Is there a point where, what's the tipping point? Again, when you were dealing with 60% inflation, how frequently were you raising prices and by how much?
Yeah, we were raising prices probably once every 3 months. And the thing that you need to do is we used to call it next in, first out. So NIFO. You raise prices on the basis of what you think your costs are going to be 4 or 5 months from now. Today, people are raising prices based on the cost today. And that's okay, but it is a little bit of catch-up because by the time your price increase comes through, you're already having to pay for new materials that come in at the new price. But the idea is to get ahead of it. So if inflation's at 7 and you increase prices at 2 or 3% because your financial planner said it was transitory, temporary, not to worry about it, you're going to be behind the curve. You're going to lose margins. And then instead of raising another 5 or 6, you're going to need more because, again, you missed it. You fell behind. And what you can't do is fall behind. So in the short term, consumers may balk and consumers may say, boy, this is a big increase. I'm just going to go away and buy something else. They will be back. And also, you will have the ability to invest, whereas your competitors who don't take a price increase and want to take advantage of volume will not have the ability to invest to drive the business because their margins will be impacted. So over time, you're better off protecting margins, taking the increase, taking a hit, looking at operationally, looking at the balance sheet. We're very much a P&L culture, but businesses need to start looking at working capital. They're very easy tricks, very easy tools to measure working capital. But over time, what companies learn is you want to collect early and pay late. And when everyone starts playing that game, someone loses. But as interest rates rise, working capital becomes a big deal. And that's not something that operators today in the U.S. are, accustomed to look at, and rightly so.